Welcome back here to the Hill on News Nation. Today, as you know, of course, commemorates the anniversary of the September 11th attacks 23 years ago. Tens of thousands of Americans were then inspired by those tragic events afterwards to serve in the nation, serve in the military, join our military, head overseas. Several of them who ended up serving abroad are now serving in a much different capacity as members of Congress. And joining us now is one of those, Congressman Jake Auchincloss, Democrat from the state of Massachusetts. Congressman, thanks for being with us here on the Hill. Nice to talk to you in person. I wanted to speak with you and your colleagues today because you're among those, let's just call it 35 to 45 years old, who went abroad, right? You served in Afghanistan. And I wonder today on September 11th, what goes through your mind as we see the scenes playing out at Ground Zero over at the Pentagon in Shanksville?
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course.
Every American my age or older remembers exactly where they were when they heard about the attacks of 9/11. And all of us of every age should grieve together today for those nearly 3,000 Americans who died. And we should also resolve that no terrorist anywhere in this world should be able to strike the United States homeland. And that mission was accomplished in Afghanistan through the neutralization of Osama bin Laden and by the success of the counterterrorism mission. Unfortunately, that CT mission morphed into a counterinsurgency nation-building exercise. And I was in Afghanistan as that surge happened in 2012.
Right. You were in Helmand Province,
Helmand
right?
Province, and I saw, even as a junior officer...
These are pictures of you as a quote-unquote kid, I guess you could say.
Taking me back more than a decade.
Yeah.
I was able to see in 2012 as an officer in Afghanistan, but then in 2014 as a reconnaissance officer in Panama, two different levers of American military power. One is nation building. Mm-hmm. The other is nation partnering. In Panama, we partnered with Panamanian public forces to strengthen their drug interdiction efforts. And I saw that in Afghanistan, it doesn't work. You can't build a nation with the U.S. military. In Panama, it did work. You can strengthen a nation. And that needs to be the foreign policy takeaway, I think, for the next generation of national security leaders. Look at Ukraine. Ukraine is fighting to save its own democracy. We should be helping them.
What is the biggest threat as you see it? Is it, we've heard a lot from Christopher Wray, the FBI director, about the possibility of lone wolves. There are obviously bigger terrorist organizations at a much grander scale out there. And then there's nations like China, right? Like, I think you're on the select committee.
Yes.
As you view it right now, what is the biggest threat to the United States?
The axis of authoritarianism between China, Russia, Iran, and then with North Korea and Venezuela as junior partners. And this axis has as its mandate and mission the overturning of the rules-based international order that the United States helped architect and safeguard since World War II. And I can tell you, you mentioned I'm a member of the Select Committee on China. I am utterly confident that the United States can win this contest against this axis if we want to, if we believe in ourselves.
What do you mean by that?
That on both the hard left and the extreme right, we see factions that no longer believe in the American liberal order. And if the United States and if the American people subscribe to the rule of law, to free markets, to balanced budgets, to the inherent dignity of the individual, we will win.
The next commander-in-chief will either be Kamala Harris, who you're supporting, or Donald Trump, the 45th president of the United States. You see, I'm sure, classified intelligence as it relates to China. You can't discuss it. But I wonder what you think the next president should do when they get in there on day one. What should they do as it relates to the threats around the globe?
First and foremost, authorize Ukraine to use F-16s and ATACMS to strike Russian oil refining capacity. 80% of Russian oil refining capacity is west.
To strike Russia's oil?
Yes. So
you would tell Kamala Harris to do that?
To authorize Ukraine to use U.S.-made F-16s and ATACMS to strike Russian oil refining capacity. Putin is funding his war economy using oil revenues. And 4 of their most important refining plants are right around Moscow, well within striking distance of our precision-guided munitions. And yet Ukraine has been handcuffed, regrettably, by the Biden administration. We need to allow Ukraine to strike back and to impair Putin's ability to fund his brutal invasion of Ukraine using oil exports.
Do you think Kamala Harris would do that, would authorize that?
I hope that she won't have to, because Biden will do it before she even takes office.
I say this every time I interview you. I wish we had more time, but we got to leave it there. Congressman Jake Auchincloss, Democrat from Massachusetts. We'll do it again. New studio right across from the Hill. Thank you for watching, and make sure you go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.